Hey, I'm Steven with Bräu Supply, and today I want to show you how easy it is to brew a batch of beer on the Unibra Brew System. Let's get started.
The Unibräu Pro does away with the standard hot liquor tank and boil kettle and gives you what you need to brew craft beer in far less space with perfect fermentation control. Add clean fresh water according to your recipe's directions, and set the temperature controller according to your strike temperature. Once the water level is high enough and the element is fully submerged, you can begin recirculation using the provided brew pump. Open the two butterfly valves on the fermenter and the ball valve on the mash tun to allow water to fill the mash tun. Now you want to allow the mash tun to fill around halfway before opening the butterfly valve at the bottom. Try to match the flow rate so the level doesn't change. When you reach strike temperature, shut the pump off and close the butterfly valve at the bottom of the mash tun. Slowly add your crushed grains, making sure to stir in intervals as you add the grains. You want to make sure you get rid of all the dough balls. Wait at least 5 minutes before turning the recirculating pump on to allow the grain bed to set up and establish a filter. This step is also known as Vorlauf.
Now that you're mashing, here's two things you need to know. One, you don't want to expose the brewing element. And number two, you don't want the liquid to rise more than 1 inch above your grain bed. If you see that the liquid levels are rising, you want to throttle it back with your ball valve. That's also going to help not to expose your brewing element.
When mash is complete, perform a mash out step by raising the temperature of the controller to 168 degrees. You're going to leave it here for 10 minutes. Sparging is not necessary in the Pro system and is an optional step. When mash out is complete, shut the pump off and open the butterfly valve at the bottom of the mash tun, allowing the wort to drain into the fermenter. While this is happening, you can change the controller setting to boil and ramp the temperature. When the last of the wort has drained into the fermenter, you can now close the recirculation valves as you prepare to boil. Add your boiling hops and boil as long as your recipe requires. I'm making the water connections to cool the fermenter when the boil is complete, although in warmer climates you may need to connect a glycol chiller. Swap the temperature probe from the brewing controller to the fermentation controller as you get ready to cool. Plug the solenoid valve from the fermentation control kit into the outlet of the temperature controller. Now that boil is complete, I'm setting the whirlpool temperature on the fermentation controller and allowing cold water to run through the jacket of the fermenter. Reconfigure the hoses, open the butterfly valves, and turn on the pump to perform the whirlpool. As you reach yeast pitching temperatures, shut the pump off and close the butterfly valves. With a small bucket in place, open the butterfly valve at the bottom of the fermenter to remove the trub from the boil. Sanitize the yeast packet if using a dry yeast, and pour the yeast into the fermenter. Now begin to close up the fermenter. Ensure all the components you're adding to the fermenter at this stage are properly sanitized. Notice that I'm not using the PRV valve during primary fermentation and choosing to blow off using the cane instead. Place a bucket with sanitizer or water in it under the cane, add some tubing, and open the butterfly valve to allow gases to escape freely.
You're going to want to keep the fermenter connected to the water source because that's going to manage your fermentation temperatures over these next 10 days. I suggest using the cooling only function as the yeast generates heat inside that fermenter. You're going to want to have the base temperature of your room close to your desired temperature anyways. The BräuPro Brew System can brew from 5 gallons all the way up to a barrel, and there isn't a brew that you can't accomplish with this system right here. Please reach out to me if you've got any other questions in your brew journey, or you just send me a comment below.